the way connected. It looks like we are. Good morning. Welcome to the Daily Reframe. You know that feeling when something's off, but you can't quite explain it, so you end up pushing through, thinking maybe I just need more discipline, more drive, but really something deeper is out of sync. Welcome to the Daily Reframe, where we slow down and get honest about what's actually stuck, not just what's loud, urgent, or demanding our attention. I'm Jordan. Each day this week, you'll watch a real clarity session unfold in real time. No prep, no script, just a conversation that starts with what's real and often lands on something we didn't know was there. This isn't coaching, it's not a strategy session, it's calibration for when you know something's off but haven't had the space to say it out loud. Let's get into it. I'm going to welcome Celeste. Good
Hello.
morning, Celeste. How
Good
are
morning.
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. There was a storm last night, so I'm feeling that pressure.
Oh,
You
yeah. Yeah.
Awake and here. Got some tea. Ready to
Yeah.
dive into it.
Good. Good.
Yeah. So this morning, where do you even focus? That was something that we were briefly talking about and realized that this is a reframe moment, right?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely is. And I had to get to the point of nowhere else to focus, right? That there was just nothing else to focus on. The the thought of growing something blind again was like this overwhelming paralysis. And so I just for me, I just started going live. That's all I did. But I also it was like in the pursuant of what I felt he was calling me to. Like I felt my spirit like going there. And then everything fell into place. But it wasn't until I focused on getting out of my own way, basically healing out loud, putting my nervous system first. I don't even know, but in that journey, even in that journey, it was like, where do you focus after I realized, hey, I have this gift with technology. I can teach people how to use AI. Like it's definitely taken this evolution to get right back, like we talked about, right back to where I started 5 years ago, but with so many more tools. But where do you focus? Right.
Yeah, especially you and I both have a long history of content creation. I'm not sure exactly how long it goes back with you with having business and creating content.
2011. Yeah, about
Um,
2011.
so mine, I don't remember what year it was, but it's been 20 years, so about 2005 or something like that. So, years and years of creating content in this ever-changing online
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
Um, and there's so much that we have learned and so much that we can do and can help people with and
Yeah.
can teach that, yeah, it can be overwhelming and distracting,
Yes.
especially when you have this heart, and have been told. I know that I've been told by a lot of um, other content creators, influencer types in the entrepreneurial spaces, teach what you know, teach everything you know, these sorts of
Yeah.
catchphrases. But if I do, then I'll never actually help anyone in a
Right.
deep way. Is
Yeah.
that kind of how you're feeling?
Yes. Yes. So I had this moment, I talk to ChatGPT a lot. I don't know if you do. But like I'll hold my phone and like literally talk to the chat, just ramble to it. And I had this moment last night because I was exhausted. I wanted to go to bed, but I have so much on my mind. And so I was just blah 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 blah, to ChatGPT. And what I recognized was you said something actually about that you are a mirror. You just mirror back, right? And I was like, I think well, I know that's the case for me too. So you mirror back what was already there, right? And same for me, just in a different capacity. It's you have a really great way of mirroring back those things we overcomplicate in business, in life, and structure, and organizing, like the stuff around you. You want to bring in all of that, right? You want to, I can do all these things and list them out, and like, let me help you. Well, I mirror identity, because that was one of my greatest attacks on me, was my identity. I even remember I put out a reel in 2023 that was just like, I don't even know who I am anymore. I'm 40 years old. I've lost all this weight. I've lost all these relationships. I don't even know who I am anymore. And it was actually in that season that I was learning who I am, but it wasn't until I started implementing the things I'd been learning in that season, and talking out loud and re-listening to myself, and putting in the effort, that I understood I had identity. It just wasn't the identity I thought it was, right? And so that's what I mirror, is not just identity. So I really, and I don't know what your structure of teaching is, per se. I don't know if we've ever talked about, like, you put it into simple words. I've experienced it, but for me, I just want, what have you lived through? What are you good at? How can we, and I know that this is business, how can we package that in a way that brings you joy, that you don't quit when it gets hard, that that this is it. This is your purpose. This is your calling. This is how you can help people without sacrificing yourself, right? And that, it's a fine line. There is a fine line in gatekeeping and self-sacrifice. And that lane, how do we stay in that lane? Where to focus on? Well, what is the lane, right? And even I get shiny object syndrome. I still do. I mean, I am straight up ADHD. I'm like, "Rah, squirrel," but I've had to put my blinders on to the overlearning. I've had to put my blinders on to the new technology even, and stick with what I'm good at. And if something new comes out, because I'm good at ChatGPT, I am good at content creation. Do I want to do it anymore? No. Can I hire, please? Can I hire someone for that, please? And I do. I have a team for that. And we're still kind of like trying to find our stride with that. But
Yeah.
what is your lane? So, Jordan, will you tell me, what is your lane?
That's a really good question and really important question, that has been really difficult to
Yeah.
identify. Um, where I'm beginning to focus is on, and narrow my focus, take that lens and focus it in, is um, helping leaders to be leaders
Yes.
instead of
Convincing
only.
people that
Well,
they're leaders.
convincing people, there's that aspect, but for me, the narrowing has really come when it comes to, I have been standing next to other leaders and being a leader of the people myself. But the realization recently has been that I am to help those leaders.
Mm,
So I'm not helping their audiences as well. Like
right.
I would come in and do collaborations
Yeah.
or guest speaking in someone else's mastermind or what have you. And
Right.
that was the relationship that I built with the other leaders, whether it's, the leader of a Facebook group or um,
Me.
just any kind of other educator. Yeah, someone who has a
Yeah.
course, you with the Soul Sister Project, and coming alongside and standing next to that leader and looking at their audience with them. And the
Mhm.
realization is that my lane is actually to take that step back and look at the leader and support
Yes.
the leader, kind of like we're doing right now, right? I'm
Yes.
here backing you up, not coming into your group and influencing your group directly as much as standing here with you and
Yes.
influencing you so that you can multiply that and expand it to the group, and being more of a support person for those leaders and speakers and the
Yeah.
people in the front.
We are having a similar shift at the same time
Mhm.
because I've been standing and trying to convince the ones that either have that analysis paralysis of overconsumption or analysis paralysis of identity issues. And so
Mhm.
that's who I've been talking to, but I'm seeing the shift happening for me where I I want to shift focus from the multitude because it's not that I've shifted focused from the multitude. I think that there is a place for that, but
Mhm.
in my lane where I want to focus in on business, on the one-on-ones, right,
Mhm.
is the CEOs, the ones that know that they are a leader, that they know and they're knower, and we all are human. Because you're a leader doesn't mean that you've got your crap together. It just means that you go in like forth, like you're a pioneer.
Yep.
You lead the way, right? And those are the ones that get wounded first, guys. Like they're pretty bloody when they pull up to that. We call it. We talk about a finish line, but there's really no finish line. But
Mhm.
when do you get respite, right? And so I want to be that respite for the ones that are forging ahead, paving a way, and it might be the ones that are kind of like me, or maybe just like two steps behind me, that they're recognizing that they do have natural born leadership, that they can stand in confidence and know that they don't have to convince anyone. Because I've been trying to convince people for 42 years I am a leader. Um, you know, in kindergarten, that it was used against me. I had a
Mhm.
note sent home from my teacher saying, Celeste has developed this aggressive leadership. And it became a joke instead of cultivating, right? Instead of leaning from, because I just wanted to be heard and I saw it. And like with ADHD, with that neurodivergent brain, we see patterns first and we don't understand what we're seeing, but we know that we have to act. And so that was me in kindergarten, and it became this joke. And in 42, and I'm like, wow, like I want to cultivate that leadership. And it's not that I haven't, it's just I want to continue, but I want to help others continue. Stay in your lane, the leader, be the leader. Quit trying to convince those people. Just go. If you build it, they will come. If you take this step, people will fall either into line behind you, with you, in front of you, those mentors. But it's the CEO energy that I'm recognizing in myself. And it's actually legacy. Who knew? And so
Yeah.
I have it on both sides. And I didn't know that because it kind of it didn't skip a generation. Both my parents were leaders, but in their own way. But
Mhm.
literally CEOs, grandparents, you know? And it's too bad that they're not alive still, where I could be,
Mm.
like, having a conversation about it.
Yeah.
But I recognize the legacy I'm stepping into, and I wanna help others that have that energy, that legacy to move forth and, help keep their eyes narrowed in.
Yeah. I got an image back when you were talking about respite, and you used that word, of what you have been doing and what you have been good at, but isn't so much your lane, is like on the racetrack, reaching back and
Oh gosh.
pulling forward, drawing people forward, or they've fallen and you're helping them up, or they've sat down discouraged and you're helping them up and you're pulling on them this way. When the image, the contrast image that I got was that actually I saw you grabbing hold of a leader who's just like huffing and puffing, and I have to keep going because I'm the leader of this pack and I'm setting the pace, and so I have to
Yeah.
stay faster, and all of this swirling, and just gently pulling them to the side and sitting them down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that
That.
resonate? Yeah.
It resonates so much. It really does. And it's not that I don't care about the ones that are like sitting and resting. It's not that I don't care about the ones that are like giving it their all and moving snail's pace. That's not that I don't, but it is my heart does because I understand now. See, I didn't understand until I sat in my kitchen and recognized I didn't ever learn resilience in the way a leader needed to learn resilience. I was 40 years old and I just found out I'd had this like massive mental breakdown, didn't even know it, living in the middle of nowhere, so isolated, and it all made sense. I'd recognized shame in my life that I didn't even know that's what I was experiencing. And I did that through listening to Daring Greatly by Brene Brown.
Hmm.
Listening. And I listened to it probably 5 times in my ears as I just walked around these dirt roads, um, listening to that. And then I was listening to another book, and I wish I could tell you the name of it. I have no idea. I know that she's bipolar and she talks openly about it. She's also a believer. Um, and and she talked about resilience in the way of mental health. And it resonated so much with me because I was like, I haven't learned resilience. See, I was taught that the fear of overwhelm, not even overwhelm, just the fear of it was God's voice saying, don't go that way. Isn't that crazy? But it is, it's true. And I don't
Hmm.
know how many other people are like that. But like if fear or the fear of overwhelm rises up in you and you're like, oh, okay, God, I hear you. And God's like, no, that's not me. I'm not as scared of fear. Um, so I learned resilience. I learned resilience, and that resilience came from just doing it. And that day 21, do you know, it is proven psychologically that we come to the end of ourselves at day 21 of anything we start. And that's when you have to rely on knowing in your knower, having the heart to go forward, having the faith to keep walking, looking your eyes not to yourself to make the decisions, to keep the pace, but looking to the one. And do you know he starts with rest? Most like he starts with rest, y'all. And so at day 21, you don't sit down and rest. Rest is active. You rest in him. It's that commitment. You roll it onto him. And there's a lot of times that I come to that realization way before day 21 now, day 3. And I'm like,
Hmm.
God, you got this. You have my commitment for however long this is going to be, right? Rolling it on to him. Um, Day 21. And when I came to day 21 and going live, and I'd made 100-day commitment. I have never, I can't tell you I've ever followed through with anything past day 21. Even at that point, I literally had to have surgery to lose weight. But I'd gotten to a point where I was almost immobile. Like we were gonna have to look for like scooters. I was that overweight, that inflamed. And so at day 21, when I was going live, I recognized it. And God had actually put a book in my hands that I did not even order it with that order of books. And it was talking about day 21. And at day 21, I said, okay. And so, and that period lasted from, you know, day 0 to 165 episodes later. And no, it wasn't. I think I got to about 145, and then I took a break and I needed to. I was in a really rough place. Came back, put together a couple more, came back last January or this January, came and put a couple more weeks together a podcast. And it was like the anointing had lifted, but it was 9 months of healing out loud. And what I learned was resilience. And resilience, the outcome of resilience and leaning on something else is joy. And no, it didn't bring in all the money, but it sure absolutely did bring in staying in my lane, understanding who I'm talking to, understanding what I'm good at. And it's put me in 2025. You can't tell me he can't work with 18 months of yeses, because it's miraculous where I'm sitting right now. And staying in your lane, and it's not your lane, it's looking to the one. And I call it shoulder, like forehead to the shoulder blades, but look up, yeah, look at the valley. Look at the beautiful, like, Land Before Time. Oh, I don't even remember. I need to look up that movie, but I want others to experience that, but I'm understanding the work it takes now and the exhaustion people feel from doing it themselves. And so that's the shift. That's the shift. It's like, let me help you focus your eyes back on the prize, and that's him. But it's also the identity of who you are. You don't have to rely completely on yourself. You can look to him, but there is true identity in walking it out, and find, and yeah. Anyways, my
So,
heart is, yeah.
so talk to me about what this looks like practically. What it looks like saying yes to and what it looks like saying no to.
Yeah. Well, practically, well, God did slam the door to the marketing agency, right? And in a way, that's what I was doing, right? Was that shift. I could see, because my marketing agency did not have the ones that I was pulling along with me,
Hmm.
that you would see in some of my challenges and stuff like that. Like, come on, you don't have to learn AI. I've already done it for you. Just apply it. But my marketing agency was looking to the leaders that were like kind of limping. I had one that was like completely discombobulated when it was like went to technology, Thinkific, Squarespace, MailChimp, like all of these like things. And I'm like, let's package that together in one little software, and get some kind of organization. And so I was seeing that because he was limping, right? And like, I don't know how to make this work. See, I can do it in a practical way that feels my soul too, without over sacrificing. And what I became in that relationship was a glorified, like, virtual assistant when I
Yeah.
am a CEO.
Right.
And so I see that, but I wouldn't have if I hadn't experienced that, right? If I hadn't experienced being placed in a position or a role in someone else's life that I do not want to be in. I am not a secretary. I am not at your beck and call. I am a visionary that saw an issue with your business, but I don't have to be the implementation of it,
Yeah.
right? And that's been the shift, is like, I can absolutely help you. I can absolutely help you understand the big vision. I can get your eyes back on your lane and up, but I don't have to be the one that puts all your ducks in a row for you. But I can help you find the people, right? I can help you
Have,
find the software.
yeah. Have you considered the title of consultant?
Yes. Yes, I have. I've actually moved over because I'm not a coach. I've
Mhm.
known that for a while. I've thought about, I've played with mentor, and I am a mentor.
Mhm.
But when it comes to, right, the shift that's happening that I'm seeing, yes, consultant is definitely it, and it's definitely a God-given talent, because if I don't have a picture for your business, or I can't think, and if I don't see a package, and that's a really human term, because my packages are like this, like, sacred geometry, all these
Yeah.
pieces coming together. if I don't see that, then I know that I'm not supposed to work with you.
Hmm.
Like if it doesn't align. But
I love
controlling
that.
it, yes.
That's something that we don't talk about a lot in business, and maybe we'll pick it up this in this place
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah.
Um, but we talk a lot about ideal clients, but we don't talk a whole lot about identifying who not
Are
to
not
work with
right.
or how to approach a sales call with that sort of perspective. Like we talk about conversions and getting conversions, but when we want to be genuine
Yeah,
and we really want to be working with the right people, well, A, yes, there's a good argument made for the idea that if somebody gets far enough to be on a sales call, then yes, they're a fit and it's just a matter of how and when, not if.
right.
But how do we get there? How do we go through the vetting process? That's an interesting question. Maybe we'll
That
pick up
is
there
an
tomorrow
interesting
morning.
question. It is, and I do wanna pick it up tomorrow morning, and I will say most of my sales calls, in the recent, like, past or whatever, just in the last 2, 3 weeks, have all been there's a big no.
Mhm,
It's just a big no, and you have to it's not that you have to pay attention to it in a negative way, but I was like, "Okay, God, all right, Lord, like, where are we moving?" And I can see it now very clearly.
mhm,
As long as I put a hard stop on one of those. I was like, "Well, then we're not supposed to work together." And that's okay.
mhm. So we're almost at 30 minutes.
Yeah.
What would you say the reframe has been today for you?
My focus has really let's talk about 2020 vision. I didn't know I was so fuzzy, starting this. I really loved the idea, and I'm like, "Jordan, you have my yes, but God has my yes." Like, I'm leaning in. I know you had a gift for it. I did not recognize how fuzzy my vision had been, um, and I've literally been running backwards,
Mhm.
being the coach and the mentor, and he's like, "Turn," and there they are. And I love okay, so the let's go right back to the first thought I had, these mirrors. Jordan, you're a mirror. I'm a mirror. The other women in the Soul Sister project that we like are forming this peer mastermind, we're mirrors, but I think we're turned the wrong way
Mhm.
or had been. And
Yeah.
that's what's the shift is that's been the reframe is like turn around and walk. Quit running backwards. Walk. Look ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we
That's
don't have to
beautiful.
full on sprint. We can walk together, you know?
Mhm.
And then we can run
We're
together. We ran together too.
Yes, we've done that, been there, done that, taken a walk, continuing to move forward, and yeah, that forward motion, even slowly, is making so much more progress than running backwards.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, and you're not like bumping in and falling down and hurting others in the process.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's beautiful. All
it
right.
is.
Well, thank you for joining me today. We'll be together tomorrow, and tomorrow is our last reframe of
Yeah.
the week. So tomorrow will be our last reframe. We'll pick it up either where we left off or with whatever we pick up in the morning, because that's how a reframe works.
Yeah.
It's all about the moment and what what is present, whether you realize it or not. Sometimes we have a glimmer, a key phrase or a task that's on the to-do list or a resistance that's being felt, but usually, almost all the time, almost every time, we don't end up where we expected, and that's kind of the whole point and why we call it a
It is.
reframe. So, for those listeners, you've got a little bit more time this week before my calendar closes off. I'm not sure when or if it will open up to the public again. I'm getting a real strong sense that these reframes will be available to people inside of women inside of the Soul Sister Project through that mentorship. But for now, it's open to you. And so grab
So
that link in the
yes,
calendar description. Take
seriously
advantage
take
of it.
advantage of it. Yes, take advantage of it. Thank
Mhm.
you, Jordan.
Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, y'all.
Bye bye.